Hey everybody, TJ here at TalentBin, one of your product specialist or first month customer success team leads. Thanks for joining me. The goal of this video today is to basically capture what we go through in a typical first month training call, what we call the kickoff call when we send you an invite for that. Either you're a new user to TalentBin and this is the first time you've seen it, or you're an ongoing user that wants to brush up on your skills or get ready for your TalentBin certification, which is coming soon. So either way, I want to try to guide you through the product and show you the things that you absolutely need to know the first time you log in. And after that, any little minor tips and tricks or advanced features you have questions on, I will direct you to our support site or recommend that you call in or email in one of our specialists to talk to you. So anyways, let's dive in. First things first, if you are totally new to TalentBin and have no idea what this is, that's okay. I realize that not everybody gets to go through the sales process. So I'll show you really quickly 2 or 3 slides that kind of understand what this product is doing. So this is the recruiting landscape as we see it here at TalentBin over the past 15 years or so, right? You know, originally your job postings, resume services, Dice, Monster, Career Builder. We're obviously a part of Monster now, so that's possibly why you're here. And then, you know, the big explosion of LinkedIn in 2003, and then kind of where we are here today. Online, obviously, all of us are very active. We leave bits and pieces of information about ourselves all over the internet. So TalentBin is attempting to kind of grab that data and put it into one easy-to-view place. Now, a little bit more detailed than that, here are some of the sites that we crawl. Okay. A specific piece of them are software engineering specific, and I'm going to focus on those a lot throughout our conversation today. The reason for it is that a lot of software developers are active on these sites, and on those sites they actually give us a lot of clues into what they're actually good at. And not many software developers in the market today have to send a resume out anymore or apply to jobs, right? And a lot of them don't even have to be active on LinkedIn. Sometimes they even abandon LinkedIn if they're getting over-contacted. So TalentBin is crawling the sites where they actually do hang out, along with a number of other social sites. Specific to those software engineering sites, here are some of them. The two that are highlighted are my favorite, and I think are where most of the best data comes from. So GitHub, a place where developers go and they work and interact with each other and work on code. And then Stack Overflow, basically answers.com for coders. How do I do this in Java? A really smart Java developer might log in and tell his peers how to do that. Okay, so half the sites are software engineering specific and the other half are just social in nature. Your typical Facebooks, Twitters, Quora, Meetup, etc. We're actually adding to this list all the time. We've added some design sites as well. We've recently entered into the healthcare space. So nurses and doctors, some different databases for them. Okay, but in general, this tool is best for finding individuals that work in advanced IT or software and development fields, and then nurses and doctors. So let's get back to the tool. This is talentbin.com, right? If you can log in 2 different ways. Either log in here, click on the login button. Okay, this will take you to a login screen. You enter in. This can either be your Monster username, probably starts with an X or something like that, and then your Monster password, or you can use your email address and that same Monster password. If you're having issues with this, go ahead and click Recover Password. This will take you to a screen where you can enter in your email address and then click Send. It will send a link to reset your password to your Outlook or Gmail, whatever it is you use. Really easy to do that. If you're having any issues at all, don't waste your time. Just go ahead and go through this process, okay? The other way to log into TalentBin is if you use Monster quite a bit, you can go to your hiring.monster.com account and you can log into TalentBin there. There should be a link on your homepage. I don't have mine pulled up right now. And there's also a drop down under candidates that will have TalentBin listed there. So between those 2 different places, you should be able to log into the product. If you are still having issues with that, please do contact us and let us know. The other thing that kind of leads me to my next point, support.talentbin.com, let me go to the home page here, is something that you should probably have bookmarked on your computer and even open at all times while you're in TalentBin. I'm a product specialist. I've been working with this product for 2+ years now, but I still use this site every day. There are so many great Q&A sessions in here, webinars, all of our contact info is listed. You can search live for things that you're having trouble with. videos will pop up. So please do take advantage of this site as you're using the product. So here's my TalentBin. When you log in, you might see a self-guide tour, things like that. Mine no longer has that. I've already gone through those things. So you can actually just skip ahead and go to your main screen here, and I can lead you through those things. Okay, very first things first, we want to make sure that all of your settings are taken care of. So go ahead and click on your name and then account preferences. Just like any other social network, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. All of the settings are taken care of near the name in the top right. A lot of times there's a gear wheel or something like that, and then account preferences. Okay, there are a number of things here that you can do. I'm going to cover the first three blue headings here, and then if you have questions about the others, those would be good things to talk to us about live via phone. Okay, first, update recruiter and company information. This is information about you as a recruiter, and then a little bit about your company. Okay, make sure that there are no blanks on this page. This page, the most important part of filling this out is that TalentBin will go ahead and build signatures for your emails. So if you have any blanks in here, your messages will not send because your signature won't be complete. So please do make sure there are no blanks. This phone number, don't worry, we're not broadcasting it to the world. This is only going to go to candidates that you send emails to. Okay. Another important thing to take a look at, if you recruit for multiple companies, if you are an agency recruiter or a part of a corporation that has subsidiaries, things like that, I would check the box next to multiple companies. If not, you're just recruiting for TalentBin, like in my case, one company. What this is going to do is it's going to add additional templates to your bin that are specific to either the corporate or the agency example. Okay, and then down here, this is my company jobs page, and then a little bit more information about TalentBin. Okay, we will attempt to enter some of this information for you, but please feel free to edit as you see fit. So let's just pretend that I changed my phone number here. I'm going to go ahead and save at the bottom now that everything is complete, and we should be all done with my information here. Okay, the next step, go back to account preferences, and now we're going to choose the second option, which is manage your CRM settings. If you noticed, mailbox was highlighted there in parentheses. So here, probably one of the most important settings in TalentBin is to actually get your mailbox set up. So now, quick background on this. I usually compare this to LinkedIn because most people are familiar with using LinkedIn in some capacity. In LinkedIn, you send in-mails, right? But as we all know, in-mail response rates, especially for our software developer candidates, are not getting any higher over time. Unless you have an amazing recruiting brand, in-mail response rates are going down. Okay, so what do we do at TalentBin? We actually allow you to integrate your real mailbox, so either your Gmail inbox or an Outlook or something else here in the tool. So you will send emails from your own account to a candidate's actual email account. Okay, it will not say this is coming from TalentBin. It will not go into the social tab of their Gmail. This goes into their primary inbox, and it says this is an email from the recruiter TJ to the candidate, let's say my colleague Jordan. Okay, it will not be identified as a recruiting email from a website. Okay. Beyond that, TalentBin will actually open and click track all emails you send out of the product. So if a candidate opens your email 17 times that day, TalentBin will tell you those things. Why is that valuable? Well, this is a passive candidate database, right? So if we know that certain candidates are clicking on our messages over and over, really valuable information to have. Those are people that we want to follow up with actively. And finally, the next piece is that TalentBin will allow you to send email campaigns. And in order to do that, you need to have your mailbox integrated. So I really highly recommend doing so. And right now I'm going to lead you through integrating Gmail and integrating Outlook. You can only integrate one account. This is sold on a per seat or per recruiter basis. If you are planning to switch the email account at some point, you can do that, but please don't do it often. You will lose data and lose track of important information. So try not to move mailboxes in and out. Okay, so I'm going to add first my Gmail inbox. TalentBin, we work off Gmail, so the tool automatically recognizes that I have a Gmail account open on my computer, and it's now asking me to simply accept the terms. If I do that, TalentBin should automatically integrate my Gmail account, which it did here. Gmail is incredibly easy to take care of. Takes about, as you can see, 5 seconds to do. I'm now going to show the slightly more complicated case, which is Outlook sometimes. So I'm going to close my Gmail account and put in my work Outlook email account. So go ahead and enter in, this is your Outlook information, Outlook credentials. So mine is terrence.wynn@Monster, it's my official name. And then my Outlook password, not my TalentBin password, this is my Outlook password. So, okay, if you want to make sure it's correct, you can of course reveal password. I'm gonna go ahead and click enter. So what TalentBin did was it tried to connect to my mailbox to make sure that it was able to read and send those messages. There was a slight error, and it looks like it's highlighting the fact that my username didn't quite match. So I actually know that I use a different username, which is just TWin, first initial, last name. And now I'm gonna try this. If you're getting hung up on and you see a page like this, chances are either your password is wrong, so go ahead and reveal and make sure the password is right, or your server information is incorrect, okay? Or finally, your username is incorrect, okay? So if you're having trouble figuring out what this information is, go ahead and contact your IT, tell them you need to know these things. They will be able to tell you this information very quickly. If you continue to have issues, please write to us and let us know that you're having trouble with it, and we will help you as soon as we can. Okay, so now I changed my username. I'm gonna see if that was the problem. Go ahead and validate. And yet, it turns out that my username was just incorrect. And so now I know that my email is synced up. You can also add a Twitter mailbox. So you might ask why? Well, we know here at TalentBin that as time goes on, we need to continue to be creative about the way that we interact with candidates. And if candidates are getting too many in-mails and too many emails, eventually we're gonna have to try another way to reach them. So we've given you the ability now to integrate your Twitter mailbox, and you can actually send tweets from TalentBin without ever opening Twitter. And remember I mentioned that we track email clicks. We also track tweet clicks. So if a candidate is clicking on links in your tweets, TalentBin will tell you that. So I'm gonna add my Twitter as well. If I click add, TalentBin will recognize that I have a Twitter account that I commonly log into on this machine. Here it is my account. If you have a work account, you might wanna log that in. Whatever it is that you're gonna use to actually contact candidates is what you want. So I'm gonna authorize app, and what it should do is redirect me to TalentBin with my Twitter mailbox set up. So now I can tweet or email out of this product. We're all set, okay? Once again, if you have issues with either of those things, please do contact us. Okay, I'm gonna save my changes. And now I'm gonna go back to account preferences one more time. The last thing I wanna talk about here is email templates. So, as I would imagine that you all have email templates that you like to use, whether they're out in LinkedIn, in your Outlook mailbox, Gmail, or just living on your hard drive somewhere in a Word doc. So come over here and notice that we have a bunch in here because this is the bin that I use with my colleagues to recruit for TalentBin, so we do have quite a few already in here. But you can add your own. To do that, you would just click Add New Template here on the green option, or you can make a copy of existing templates. You'll notice in your bin that you already have templates that look something like this. Okay, we give a number of generic messages to all of our recruiters so that they have something to start with, inspiration if you will. Those messages are not perfect by any means. They were written by me or one of my colleagues, so please feel free to change them. You can make copies of our templates. You just click on the Make a Copy button, which is the two pieces of paper, okay? And it brings up a copy of this message. You can change the name to whatever you'd like. Okay, and then you can edit the message. Notice that we have some things in here like that look a little funky. They're what we call variables. You can choose a number of different ones on the right side here. Pick a variable. Candidate name, candidate full name, recruiter information. This data is going to automatically pull from either the candidate profile, like candidate name, or from that recruiter information page that we edited in the beginning today. So it's going to bring in your first name, your last name, your email, your phone, etc. And then the information about the job, or excuse me, about the company that was also on that screen. Okay, so we're trying to save you a little bit of time. LinkedIn has a similar feature that auto-fills specific variables. We're just trying to save you a couple extra clicks, a couple extra seconds spent typing names and things like that. Anytime we can give you more valuable time back, we're going to try to do that. Okay. If you have questions around, hey, you know what? What's best practice around a subject line, or what's best practice around how to write my first sentence of my email. Well, chances are we've attempted to answer those questions already, and those things exist once again on our support site. You can go here and check out the webinar videos. Okay, these are videos that I've put together that talk about things like writing better subject lines. This one's about TalentBin data, how to use that data to write a good first sentence in your emails. So all of this information already exists. Please do take advantage of it. These things are in video format. They are also in slide format. So once again, have this page open at all times and use it frequently as you're in the product. Okay. Anyways, make a template that works for you, or copy and paste in something that you've used elsewhere that works, and then go ahead and save that. Okay, I'm going to save for now, although I didn't really edit that much. And when you get on a call with us, we can always dive into those templates a little bit further and look at them if you'd like, and give you feedback on what we think works and what we think doesn't. You might notice that we also have some tweet templates in here. You can build those. Obviously, you want them to be under 140 characters so that when you're out on Twitter that you can use those. Okay. And here, if you notice, is the template that I just created. So we have a number of generic first templates. Like I said, we really encourage you to add in your own and things. We will talk about campaigns a little bit later, so I don't want to dive into that yet. Let's go ahead and actually run some searches. So let's go to the source tab. Okay, so this is where you will start all of your future sessions in TalentBin after your settings are taken care of and your templates are built. Okay, the first thing you want to do is build a folder. If you've used LinkedIn Recruiter before, you're probably familiar with using projects. Very similar idea. We use folders in TalentBin. You want to create a folder for whatever it is you're working on. In my opinion, best practice is to put your name on it, put the role that you're searching for, so Java, San Francisco, right? So now I know which position I'm recruiting for. Let's even make it more specific, Senior Java, San Francisco. If I have a job rec number, I might throw that in as well. So I'm just going to go 111. So that way you know down the road which roles are which. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click Add Folder, or you can click Enter. Either way will work. And TalentBin will recognize now that I saved that folder. Okay, and all of the work that I do today will be tied back to that folder. All right, so now I want to run a search. There is the simple search bar up here. You might be tempted to type there. Please do not. I don't recommend it. I would recommend doing everything in this advanced search feature here. So go ahead and click Advanced. And I want you to drop down from keyword. You'll notice there are a number of different options when you search. Keyword and skill, the data actually comes back identical, so don't worry about which one you choose to use there. Then role, company, current company, school, and name. Very similar, once again, to an advanced search in LinkedIn. For the most part, TalentBin is a skill search engine. So some of those sites that I pointed out earlier, like GitHub and Stack, those really identify for us what software developers are good at, right? In my case, I'm looking for something like Java. So I'm going to stick with a lot of keywords, and then we'll get to location searches in a minute. Okay, so as you can imagine, if I'm looking for a senior Java engineer, the first thing I would want to look for is Java. When I type that out, notice that TalentBin recognized that word or that term, and it also gave me a bunch of similar items. And Java, the plain Java term here, I noticed that when I hover over it, TalentBin tells me that there are 19 synonyms there. We call this an explode term. If there is a little orange plus on any term, that means that it is an explode term and there are synonyms associated with that. So what does that mean? Well, if I click on that term and put in Java, you'll notice that 19 synonyms in blue popped up down below. So if I click on that, you'll see that TalentBin is actually creating an OR string for me. Essentially, that's what this is doing, is TalentBin is helping you to create a long Boolean string, and it's actually building out a lot of the OR terms for you. For example, if you guys have worked with Java technology before, you know that somebody who codes in Hibernate, right, or J2EE is definitely a Java developer. TalentBin does not want you to lose candidates if they wrote Hibernate on a profile but for some reason did not write Java. So we're helping you to cast a wider net. Okay, so definitely use our explode terms when they're available, and remember that you can actually edit these if you'd like. So I don't recommend deleting a bunch of terms out of here, but you can add things. So if you said, there was a new Java technology that we didn't have, you could always add it to here, and it would become a part of this list. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click done. I don't need to change this term. It works for what I'm doing, but I actually want to make sure that I see Hibernate in this person's background. So how would I do that? I want to say I want Java and Hibernate. Notice, but this is an or. In order to make an and statement, I click add field. So now I want Java and Hibernate. Type in Hibernate. Notice TalentBin recognizes that. There is no plus here, so there are no synonyms, but still a recognized technology. You might even search terms in here that do not get recognized by TalentBin. That's okay. Not every term is something that has synonyms built out for it. It's okay. You can go ahead and search it as you are. Notice that there are no quotes. People that are really familiar with Boolean strings like to type in quotes here. These boxes take care of that for you. So don't worry about typing in quotes, ands, and ors. All of that is already taken care of by the product. Okay, so I'm going to add another field, and I'm going to throw in spring as well. Okay, spring itself doesn't have synonyms, but I'm going to use spring as it is there. Okay, as you can imagine, something else. Maybe I want a full stack developer in this case. I'm going to add in JavaScript. TalentBin is going to take care of adding all of the different JavaScript libraries in there. Okay, so notice the example that I like to point out is Backbone near the top here, because candidates can write Backbone out a couple different ways. You might see Backbone.js, you might see Backbone.js, you might even just see Backbone by itself. All of those things are going to be included in the TalentBin explode term. Okay, so now I have a pretty good list of skills. As you can imagine, you could probably find some additional ones, but for now I think I have a pretty good list built out. So let me show you some other tips and tricks that I like to use in all of my searches. Okay, so I'm going to add field. Okay, when I add field here, I'm actually going to switch from keyword over to role. With different positions, I actually recommend different things with role. That would be a good question for you to address with your product specialist when you talk to them. But for software positions, you might have come across candidates in your past that called themselves pretty random things. I've seen Ninjaneer, I've seen Wildcat, I've seen Code Monkey. I wouldn't want to lose the Code Monkey from my search if he knew Java, Hibernate, Spring, and JavaScript. So I don't really care what his role is. However, I want to eliminate certain people from my search. You can actually do that by clicking on the required check mark, and you can make it a not search or a minus search. You can also, you might have noticed that optional was listed as well. You can actually flip things and make them a nice to have. So what I'm saying with this is I need Java, Hibernate, and Spring, but if someone has JavaScript, I want them to come to the top of my results. So that's what this term will do. Okay? Those who do not have JavaScript will not be eliminated, but the ones who do will filter to the top. Okay, so now with the minus search, I want to actually remove people like recruiters, people like myself who work in this industry. As you can imagine, I want to take out recruiting, staffing, tech recruiters. You might even want to throw in something like talent acquisition. Okay, people that tweet or write on their LinkedIn about the positions they hire for, but aren't necessarily developers themselves. You can also take out sales professionals. Okay, here will be a list of some different common sales titles. These are not all inclusive. You can definitely add to these, but they're a good start. The other one I really like to show people is leadership. Okay, you might be thinking, well, leadership's a good thing, but these are very high-level leaders like CTOs, vice presidents, directors, etc. In the market in which I recruit and play here in San Francisco, I might not want to use this because you have to think about the types of people and the market in which you recruit, because in my case, here in San Francisco, there are a lot of vice presidents that maybe work at a company that's 6 people large. They work in a garage, right? I wouldn't want to eliminate them because maybe things aren't going so well. They know Java, but they're running out of money. They might want to come work for me. So I might not use this term, but I do like to show it to everybody. It's a good one to use at some point to eliminate those that are no longer coding. Okay? So now I have a pretty good string. I also want to get creative with which companies I pull from. I'm here in the Bay Area. I might want to take them from one of the social media, giants here. So I might say, okay, Facebook or Twitter, or let's go with Pinterest. Okay, so I'm going to try to take people from those different places. Once again, I'm not requiring that, but that's nice to have. So I want those people to come to the top. Okay, and finally, I might want to require that they come from a certain school. Like we have lists built out of elite engineering schools. Okay, Berkeley, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon will be in that list, MIT. Also, we have lists like top tier engineering schools. Okay, I want to grab that as well. Something else you can do with company, we also have lists pre-made like financial services companies, management consulting companies. So for the industry in which you work, whether that's cloud or one of the others I just mentioned or any others, there are a number of pre-built lists in here. So please play around with it. And we also have a list of all of those explode terms on our support site. So you can go ahead and search for that there as well. You can search here for explode terms, and we have a complete list of explode terms listed out here for you. So if you're like, oh, what are all the different ones? Well, here they are. Okay. Back to the TalentBin. All right, now I have a pretty good search. You know, I want them to come from an elite school, come from one of these companies would be nice, JavaScript nice. Please remove recruiters, salespeople, and I want them to know these different skills. Okay, now I want to put a location in. You can do that one of two ways. Okay, you can either put in popular metro areas like San Francisco Bay Area, okay, or you can use a zip code. That's what we call a custom search. So I'm going to locate it in the United States. I'm going to use the zip code for me, 94104 here, and then you'll see that the radius option appears. Okay, since it's a pretty big tech market, I want to narrow it down by people within 20 miles. I don't want them to have to commute too far, and I'm going to see how many people I get back for that. Okay, one other filter that I really like to show you is available contact. So with this filter, what we're doing, and this kind of goes back to the discussion we had earlier about in-mails, emails, how do I reach a developer in today's market? We can check a box here that says, please TalentBin, only show me profiles for whom you have already found a personal email address. We do really well with personal email addresses, especially in the major metro areas, so you might as well check that box the very first time you search. Even if it yields 3 candidates, that's worth it, right? Because I want to email those 3 people right now. Okay, there are other filters here, but this is the most important, and that's what I want to get through today. So let's go ahead and run this search and see what happens. Okay, 145 candidates. That's actually a really good number. In general, I like to try to get my number of candidates under 300 for sure. Ideally, sometimes even actually under 100, because we are all good recruiters, but when you try to look through 3,000 people, good luck, right? That's not going to happen. I want to get a manageable set of people that's very specific to what I need that I can go through quickly, okay? Next things that we want to do before we get excited about looking at candidates is actually to save our search. You might be saying, wait, we already saved this. No, what we did was we created a folder. Now we are saving our Boolean search within that folder. So this is my first search. You can name it whatever you'd like, but I recommend naming your search number so that you can remember, when you did it. First search, all terms, because I used all the terms from my job description. I also used elite schools, and I used a 20-mile radius, requiring email. So I like to be very specific, but it's up to you. And then I also like to tell myself how many candidates came back, and I'm just gonna say roughly 150. I don't remember the exact number, but that will help me to remember, was this search very specific or was it really broad? If you have more questions about things like this, how do I be really efficient and organized in my bin, there is a webinar on the support site that talks all about being really efficient. It's right here on the front page, maximizing efficiency. That's a video I put together on how to really maximize your time in the tool and stay really organized. So if you have more questions on things like this, please check that out. Save. Okay, so now let's actually kind of dig into a profile and talk about what's going on. You might start to notice things, all these colorful icons, get excited, oh, that looks really cool. Well, let's check out Bernard here. In order to do that, you just click on his name. His profile will come up. All of these different icons here are the different sites or social media profiles where we found Bernard. Okay, you'll recognize some right off the bat, like Twitter and Facebook. Okay, you can hover over these if you're not sure what they are. TalentBin will actually tell you. GitHub is a really important one that I addressed in the beginning. Stack Overflow as well. Those sites are really going to tell us what coding languages Bernard understands. Okay, so when I look at the skill data here, TalentBin will start to dissect and piece out all of the different breadcrumbs of information that Bernard has left around the internet. Okay, so by the way, you can actually click out to these things as well. So you can click out and look at a Stack Overflow profile. If that's something that you're good at, you can look at the questions that he's asked, the answers he's given, but you don't have to. Okay, TalentBin is going to do a great job of telling you what we think you need to know. So let's look at Hibernate. Okay, all I did was click on that. Hibernate is one of the skills that I wanted to see with this person. Okay, he's asking questions on Stack Overflow, which is a good sign, and he owns a GitHub repository, which means he's coding in Hibernate on GitHub. Okay, if these two things are very new to you, I recommend, once again, going back to the support site and checking out the webinar on data. This one is all about Stack Overflow, GitHub, and how to read through that information and figure out what it is that Bernard, in this case, actually is good at. Okay, so I definitely recommend that. When you're on the TalentBin profile, we can click through the different skills. So let's now look at Java. Okay, showing interest in a number of different Java repositories. Okay, he's also asking questions. So this is Java. It's very clear that this person has interacted with Java quite a bit. He's coded in Java, as we saw a second ago. So very active, which is a great sign. I can also search through this. Okay, so if I was like, well, I actually forgot, it would be nice if this person knew some things about Android because we're working on some new mobile apps. Well, I look at Android, it comes up on the left, and now I can see what TalentBin's information is for that. Okay, so I recommend searching through this because you can be a lot quicker. Just search, click on the terms. JavaScript is one of the other ones I searched, right? Okay, and see what TalentBin has to say. In my opinion, there are three main pieces of a TalentBin profile or the TalentBin workflow that really drive your return on investment. This skills section is place number one. Okay, it's going to be a lot of great information here on what this person knows and what they're interested in. You can also check out their other interest. Notice you see Berkeley and Avicii, so I bet this guy is a Berkeley grad. Turns out that's true. He's also interested in music, obviously. He likes Avicii and Carly Rae Jepsen. Well, maybe call this person maybe, right? Anyways, bad joke. But you can look through these things as well if you want to get a sense for what Bernard is like as a person beyond just his professional interests. I really recommend that. If you watch the webinar videos, I'll talk a lot about how I write subject lines to cater to someone's interest. Once again, I'll point you back to support, subject lines. Also, I talk about that professional and personal interest in this webinar and this one as well for writing good messages. Okay, I really recommend it. When talking to developers in today's market, they are really picky because they get so many messages from recruiters. We have to stand apart. We have to find ways to be personable and approach them as human beings and not just using them for what they know about code and for your own personal gain. Okay, turns out went to Berkeley, so the Berkeley thing makes a lot of sense here, right? There will be some job history and information about education. It depends which sites that we crawl. If we find a LinkedIn profile and a Facebook, we usually have some job history data. Remember, if you're paying for LinkedIn though, you can also just click out and open a person's LinkedIn profile and look at that as well. The skill information will be really rich. It will actually tell you a lot more than a LinkedIn profile will. But if you need to see more about their job history, things like that, you can always check that out. Okay, so now I've decided Bernard is someone that I want to talk to. In my opinion, you're trying to figure that out in about 30 seconds. We want to get through a lot of candidates. It's a passive candidate approach. We have to get through numbers in order to get someone hired, right? So in 30 seconds, I'm figuring out, okay, does Bernard know Java? Yes. Does he know JavaScript? Yes. Does he know Hibernate? Yes. Okay, I want to email him. How do I do that? Click on the contact button. Remember, we already integrated our email address in the beginning of this presentation, okay? Notice all the different options. I can choose to reach out via social vector, or I can go email. I recommend email first. If email doesn't work, you can always ping them on one of the social vectors, or you can ping them on both or all of them. It's up to you. Sometimes I like to email and then tweet and say, hey, check out my email. It's just another way to be creative, another way to show this person that you're really trying hard. Okay, let's pretend now that I want to send him an email. So I'd click, let's go with Gmail. Looks like he has his own personal website, but I'll go with his Gmail account. And now I can choose from all these different templates that I've loaded into my bin. Okay, so I have all these different examples, but I'm going to use just one of these generic ones because I don't want to use a TalentBin specific email right now. So let's say I'm an agency recruiter and I want to send him my generic engineering role #1 email. I click on this box. It appears right on my screen. You might be like, wait a second, this isn't my Outlook. Yeah, you're right. TalentBin is, what we did was we integrated your mailbox so that you could send messages straight from this tool. But when Bernard gets this email, he will have no idea that I did it from TalentBin. He will get an email to his inbox from my terrence.wynn@monster.com in his primary inbox, even though it's going to his Gmail, right? So now my template loaded, okay, and it loaded up a subject for me. It auto-populated Bernard's name. It auto-populated my signature and my information about TalentBin, okay? I personally would edit this a little bit. I like to customize subject lines. Once again, check out my subject line webinar. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a really fun one. And I like to point out this sentence here. This is really important when we're contacting candidates from TalentBin because TalentBin is not a place where candidates volunteer their data and create profiles. So if we just say something like, I found your profile, Bernard's gonna be like, what are you talking about? We wanna tell him where we found him. So in my case, I would say something like, I was cruising around the web and I found your GitHub repositories and Stack answers. Really impressive Java skills, right? Because those are the things that I looked at. TalentBin identified them for me, so it was very easy to find, and now I know that he's really good at Java. He will know I did my homework. He will be impressed that I did my homework, because now he's thinking, wow, TJ looked me up on 2 different places, if not more. I could mention Twitter, I could mention other things here. Like, wow, TJ did more homework than all the other recruiters that emailed me this week. I'm impressed. I want to write him back. I have literally, I kid you not, gotten responses exactly like that. That said, hey, I never respond to recruiters, but your email really showed me that you tried hard and that you did your research. And they wrote me back because of that, okay? You can also insert information about your client. This is a base template, so it's pretty bare right now, but I definitely encourage you to juice this up a little bit and make it awesome, okay? I'm not gonna send this email, but I wanted to show you kind of what my process looks like. Now, notice this checkbox down here, very important. This is my favorite feature in TalentBin, and I'm gonna talk about it more in just a minute, but you can add candidates to auto follow-up campaigns, okay? I can select a campaign. I have one for an agency, I have a corporate version, and then I also have one that's specific to front-end developers. Okay, in this case, I'm looking for more of a Java guy, so I'm gonna go with my generic here. You build these campaigns yourself. There will be one generic one listed in your bin, and then you can always build your own. So we'll talk about that in a second, but definitely want to use these. They are awesome. They help follow up automatically for you. So I'm not going to send this, but you would just click send. It would send straight from this screen. Okay. If you're like, well, now I have this email box open and I forget what it was that he said about Java. You can click on this and it will actually open up his profile in another tab so that you can check out his information and then go back and edit your message. So I'm going to cancel this. Your other option is, okay, I don't want to email this person yet. I want to email them later today. You can stage this person. So in LinkedIn, they call it status. We call it a stage, but the same idea. So I like Bernard. And why did I like Bernard? Well, he's answering Java questions on Stack. Why did I write that? Well, because when I come to Bernard's profile later, I don't want to have to remember why I liked him, and I don't have to reevaluate him, because once again, that's wasting time. We all need every second we can get during the day. So I want to be able to look at a quick sentence about why I liked him and then be able to move on. So I'm going to save that. What will happen when I save is TalentBin will recognize that I took an action. It will recognize that I kept a note and will automatically take me to the next profile. Okay, I'm going to go back to my search results I want to show you what happened with Bernard. Okay, so back to search results. You'll notice that my search string will be there, and TalentBin will load up all of the candidates that came back for that search string. I'm now one short. It went from 145 to 144. Why is that? Well, TalentBin recognizes that I already made a decision, or I already took action on Bernard. You'll notice that Bernard is no longer here. He was in between Pratik and Ted. So we will remove candidates from your search results that you have already taken an action on. That information is saved at the folder level. So if I were to create a new folder today for Java, and then I search the same string again, Bernard would come back. But he will never come back in this folder again, okay? And where is my search saved? Remember that I saved that search string. It is located in the drop-down arrow next to the Save button. Here it is. I can go straight back to it. If I've saved 7 different searches, they will all be listed here. Okay, so now let's pretend it's the end of the day. I'm done searching. I want to go back to my candidates that I liked. I want to go ahead and send them an email. Our good friend Bernard, who we just looked at a second ago. So here he is, right? He is my promising candidate. We organized this by stages. So remember, we edited Bernard's stage. All the other stages are listed here. If you had bad fit candidates, they would be down in the bad fit bucket. We just try to keep this really organized. This is how you keep track of your pipeline, where your candidates sit, where they currently are, and then you can kind of figure out where you need to take them from there, okay? A lot of the staging is automatic when you're emailing. So if you email Bernard right now, he will automatically go into attempting to contact. If he writes back, he will automatically go to in discussion. Because your email is integrated, TalentBin knows that you've already done those things. However, once they enter a phone screen stage and beyond, you have to move them through the stages yourself, because now TalentBin can't recognize what's happened with that person, okay? So let's go back to Bernard's profile. It's the end of my day. I'm pretty tired, but I'm ready to send out 10 emails before I go. Okay, so why did I like Bernard? I can't remember. I really don't want to dig through his information again. Oh yeah, I kept a note on that. Check that out. It's right down here in the history section. You'll notice that it says, okay, well, TJ viewed this profile. Looks like one of my colleagues did a while back, but then I actually took a note on him. I like him because he's answering questions on Stack. By the way, if you have multiple licenses in your company, all the information will be recorded here about what different recruiters have done with this person. Since we have 20 plus people in this bin and we all work in the same San Francisco market, there's a good chance that Bernard has already been looked at, which is the case, okay? So now I want to contact him. Oh yeah, because he's answering questions on Stack. That's why I liked him. Now I can go and send my email right here. We already talked about how to do that. So you noticed all those templates popped in there. We talked about templates a little bit before. Now I want to take it one step further and talk about those campaigns, okay? So I'm going to go back to my name and then go to Account Preferences. From Account Preferences, I'm going to go into Manage Templates and Campaigns, okay? We've already been here. Remember, we looked at the templates down here and we actually built this template, TJ Demo, okay? Now, you notice that when we went to email Bernard, there was a checkbox at the bottom of the message. That checkbox read Automated Follow-Up Campaigns. Okay, these are very important. They're the best feature in this product in my own opinion. Okay, once again, let's pretend we're using the agency example. Okay, one of these will already be in your bin, either this one or this one, depending on whether you check the box for corporate or for agency in the beginning. Okay, if I were to look at this with the eyeball here, you can see that, by the way, you can change all these settings, okay? But this is how these campaigns work. So 3 days after my initial message, so let's pretend I sent Bernard a message today, 3 days later, if he has not replied to me and I had checked that box at the bottom of his email to send him an auto follow-up campaign, he will automatically receive this message from me. That was 3 days later. If he has still not replied, he's stingy, 5 days later, he'll get another one. 5 days later, another one. If he replies at any time, he will automatically drop out and he will be shown here. This will actually show you where all of your candidates are in the different stages of the campaign. Okay, and the way what this reads is 7 days after the campaign is over, Bernard will automatically be staged as not interested if he has never replied. You can change that once again. Your decision in my mind comes down to two things. Either put them back in the top of your funnel, so put them into a promising stage, or put them into a not interested. That way it's like, okay, I want to try again with maybe Facebook or Twitter, or I want to send them a meetup message. However you like to work, okay, you can choose to do that. All right, if you have more questions on this stuff, because there are a lot of intricacies with campaigns, you might have noticed there's another type of campaign as well, a drip campaign. This information is very well documented in, guess what, one of our webinars. So webinar number 4 is all about campaigns. Okay, I put this video together just before Valentine's Day. The slides are all here. You can click through the slides. You'll say, okay, you'll see down at the bottom things like, oh, how do I create campaigns? In which cases do I do that? Okay, the video is also here. If you want to spend 20 more minutes listening to my wonderful voice talking about how to write amazing campaigns, I really do recommend it. Grab a glass of wine on a Friday afternoon and check it out. All right, so let's go back to TalentBin. So now at this point you have an awesome template prepared. You've looked at your campaigns to make sure that the messages make sense for you. You've sourced a couple candidates. You've built out a search string. Okay, so just a quick recap. Okay, we started in the source tab. Okay, so this is where we start our searches. We created a folder. TalentBin automatically defaults to the top folder in alphabetical order. So you actually might want to hide folders that you're no longer working with. That's something covered in the efficiency webinar. So I want to drop in here and look at the folder that I'm actually working on. So I'm going to search for it because we have a lot of folders in here. TJ, here it is. Okay, I open that folder. TalentBin will open that along with all of the candidates that I've saved. Okay, I can access my search here from the drop down. So my search is there. I can click on that and go straight back to my search string. And once again, TalentBin will then rerun that search and pull back my 144 candidates. Okay, if I have candidates that I've already worked with, they are in the Manage tab. I look at my Manage tab. Here's Bernard, along with any other candidates that I've worked with at any time. Okay, in the mailbox, if I had sent Bernard a message, I'm actually showing a number of messages from my real inbox. Notice these are all coming from TJ, so those don't matter. But you can see, you can look at sent, and the reason this is happening is because these people are actually identified as candidates in TalentBin in some way or another. You will also eventually see these are responses, but TalentBin will also track opens and clicks. Okay, so when you send emails, you will see opens and clicks in this section as well. All right, TalentBin will take all this data and it will try to make sense of it for you. We put that in what we call the dashboard. So if you look at the dashboard, it's going to tell me things that I should be doing. Okay, you marked this candidate as promising a long time ago. Ignore these dates because I haven't used this bin for actual recruiting in quite some time. So these are obviously very old. If this is outdated, I can dismiss this and say, well, this person was actually not a fit or not interested. It will go ahead and remove that from my my feed here. Or, well, guess what? TJ is actually somebody I want to respond to. I can click respond. TalentBin will automatically take me to our discussion, and I can go ahead and do that. Okay. So that's kind of how you work through the dashboard. The dashboard is basically TalentBin telling you what we think you should work on next based on the activity that we've seen happen in your bin. Okay, if candidates continue to click and open your messages, a lot of things here will tell you about which candidates those were and how to go ahead and interact with them next. Okay, so we covered sourcing and saving searches in folders. We talked about managing candidates, in the Manage tab. We looked at the mailbox, and then reporting and tasks, less important, but you can set your own tasks. That's available here. Reporting is going to be some very high-level information on your usage statistics, logins, email opens, things like that that you might want to check out. And then once again, all of your settings are available to you in the account preferences section. Recruiter and company information, your mailbox, Twitter mailbox, etc. are here in CRM settings, and all of your templates and campaigns are here as well. If you want to talk about anything else in here, please do reach out to us or use our support site. I sound like a broken record, but it is a great resource. Write in your questions. and see what we have to tell you. So thanks for joining me here. Hopefully after this session you have a really good feel for how to get started in TalentBin and you're ready to rock. Your email is integrated, you have some searches set up, you have candidates ready to go. If you still do have questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. We have a lot of great product specialists on staff that are more than happy to answer your questions. Well, we look forward to hearing from you, and best of luck in your sourcing efforts within TalentBin. Have a good one.